Welcome to the 2025 Hacktoberfest Kickoff. It's great to have everybody here. I see we've got folks from all over. We got some folks joining from India. Got some folks joining from Vancouver. Great to see everyone. Hopefully we'll get folks from all over the world today. As you guys know, Hacktoberfest is a global event. We invite people from all over the world to participate and have a fun time and contribute to open source. Very nice to meet everyone. My name is Darian. For those of you who don't know me, I've been at DigitalOcean for about 10 years now, which makes me a dinosaur in tech terms. But very happy to be here and happy to have the opportunity to participate in Hacktoberfest again. It's been a long time that we've been running this event here at DigitalOcean and helping to sponsor it. So super excited to be doing this once again. Great. We got a lot of good stuff for you folks today. So hope everybody's excited for all of that. We're going to be getting several different people to speak and have different portions here where we're going to talk about cool stuff that they've been working on and stuff that maybe you can contribute to as well. Great to see. Don't hesitate to put where you're coming from in the chat, folks. Love to see everyone's home locations. So thank you. Let me know where you guys are coming from in the chat here. Love to see that stuff. We'll go ahead and get into things in a few minutes here. I just want to give folks a couple of minutes to join in. Just in case anybody's running behind. From Australia, that's great. India, Iran, very nice to see you. Nigeria, okay, yeah, getting folks from all over. British Columbia, Bangladesh, India, Nigeria again. Multiple folks from Nigeria, that's great to see. Another person from India. Been to India a few times. Loved it there whenever I went. Haven't been in a couple of years. Need to make a trip back there. Awesome. Yeah, I am reading your comments. That's right. I'm seeing everyone's comments. So Anushka, I did see your comment there. I won't be, for the most part, taking nose-touching requests today, but go ahead. Just to show it that once, I'm happy to show that I am paying attention here. Nepal, okay, great to see. Great to see. Awesome, folks. Well, thanks again so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our planned programming today. And if anybody wants to, just so you guys know, we do see the comments. We are watching that stuff. So anybody who wants to chime in, please feel free to. We're gonna go through a bunch of stuff today. We're also gonna have a couple of quizzes. If folks participate in the quizzes, the people who win or who answer the most correct questions in those quizzes will be eligible to win some Hacktoberfest swag. So super excited about that. As well as if you guys ask a really good question in chat, we're gonna give away some Hacktoberfest swag to folks in chat as well. So very excited about that. So don't hesitate to ask anything that you guys that comes up in your mind. We'd love to answer those questions. For the event today, we've got a few things. We've got some folks talking about stuff that they've been working on. We're going to have Mike Swift up next. Then we got someone from DigitalOcean, Yash Sharma is going to talk about Kubernetes troubleshooting with AI. Then we're going to have a panel discussion, which is the topic it's Maintainer 101. So excited to see some folks who are maintainers of major projects. Then we're going to have a quiz. And then we're going to have a talk from our friend Oliver. He's going to talk about empowering open source and how DigitalOcean's credit program supports maintainers and contributors. Then we're going to have another panel discussion about AI and open source. Then we're going to have some demos and another quiz. And then we'll have our closing, which Mike Swift is going to help out with again. So we're going to have a lot of stuff going on. That's right. We are going to have some quizzes. So if you guys participate in those quizzes and do well, we will be awarding some Hacktoberfest swag for that. So very excited for that. Looking forward to to everybody having a chance to win some swag there. Of course, the normal way to win swag with Hacktoberfest is to participate in contributing to open source projects. So we're going to talk about exactly what that is, today. But the long and short of it is that Hacktoberfest has been a long-running event that DigitalOcean has originated and then has continued to sponsor with our other wonderful sponsors throughout the years. And we invite people around the world to participate in contributing to open source projects, and every contribution you make counts towards your winning of Hacktoberfest swag. So now it is projects that have decided to participate with Hacktoberfest, so don't just contribute to anything. Obviously, it has to be something that is eligible. But that being said, there's a lot of options out there for projects that you folks can contribute to. And yes, yay for open source. I totally agree. Shake asked if there is a prize for the quiz. That is correct. There are prizes for the quizzes. So we will be getting to those soon here, later on in the presentation. As far as how to find projects, you can search for the Hacktoberfest tag on GitHub, and that will allow you to find projects which have agreed to participate in Hacktoberfest. We want to make sure we're contributing to projects that have agreed to participate in Hacktoberfest, so we're not sending a bunch of PRs to projects that don't necessarily have the maintenance staff to go through all those PRs at one time. So I'd love if we planted some trees in your name. That'd be great. But I don't know if that's one of the prizes this year. I think we're giving out some other stuff. And our plan today is to give out, as I mentioned before, 15 t-shirts. So we're going to be giving 5 for quiz 1, 5 for quiz 2, and then we're going to hand out 5 throughout the day here to folks who are asking good questions in chat. So please don't hesitate to participate in chat if you guys have questions and want to ask them. We are reading the chat and do love to answer those questions and get you guys involved. Great. Next up here, our next session here is going to be with Mike Swift. He's going to talk about. He's one of our co-sponsors for Hacktoberfest this year. He's going to talk about some of that. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes here. But in the meantime, please don't hesitate to keep mentioning where you're coming from in chat. Thank you, folks. Just posted in chat that there's going to be swag for the top 10,000 contributors who complete 6 pull requests in the month of October, which is the big objective with Hacktoberfest is to increase contributions to open source. So very, very happy about that. First quiz will start in about an hour here, I think, or maybe a little less than. So we'll be getting to that in about 50 minutes here. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you participate, you have a chance to win some swag. Good questions, good questions. What's new in Hacktoberfest 2025? We are always working with new sponsors. So Mike Swift is going to talk about that in a minute, but also new swag each year. We're not giving away the same swag each year. There's special swag for Hacktoberfest 25 and 24 and 23. So each time you participate, you get to get the special swag from just that portion or just that year of Hacktoberfest. So Patricia asked earlier, it was 4 pull requests. That's correct. We have to keep increasing it because y'all contribute so much to open source. We need to put the limits a little higher. So it's 6 pull requests, and the people who contribute to that will win some swag. Someone asked, how long will this event go on? I'm not sure if you're talking about the Hacktoberfest kickoff today or Hacktoberfest overall. The kickoff today will last for about 2.5 more hours. And then the Hacktoberfest itself obviously lasts for the whole month of October. So yes, please check out hacktoberfest.com. That has should have all the answers you guys are looking for when it comes to exactly what Hacktoberfest is, what it does, how you can participate. So much appreciated for posting that, my team that's helping me out here. And great, I'm just looking at the chat here. Yeah, I totally agree. DPH commented the most important thing is not just about swag. I can learn to read and contribute to other people's code. Totally agree. That's why we do Hacktoberfest in the first place. We love to have people participating in these events around the world and helping with open source projects. DigitalOcean is a very open source focused company. We love to have open source projects contributed to. We work with a lot of open source tooling at Theo. So it's something that we're very proud of to continue to be one of the primary sponsors of Hacktoberfest year over year. The eligibility criteria, to answer your question, Saksham, who asked, is there any eligibility criteria? The eligibility is that you contribute to, you sign up for Hacktoberfest, and then you contribute to 6 PRs in the month of October. And again, if you check out hacktoberfest.com, that has all the details of what it takes to have a pull request that counts for Hacktoberfest. One, it has to be a project that obviously has the Hacktoberfest tag on it. Make sure you're contributing to a project that's participating in Hacktoberfest. What are the mistakes most people do in Hacktoberfest so we can avoid them? I would say definitely don't just contribute a single piece of punctuation to a README and then submit that as a pull request. We want to see something, generally substantial that you guys are adding to the documentation. We don't want to clog up projects with pull requests that are not going to really help the project move forward. So please don't do that type of thing. Is 2025 Hacktoberfest exciting? Absolutely it is. I'm very excited for Hacktoberfest this year. And I think it's very exciting. Yeah, don't spam PRs. Good call out there. We definitely want the whole purpose of Hacktoberfest is to contribute, is to participate in a positive manner, contribute to the open source community, not necessarily to make more work for them. There are some DigitalOcean open repositories, I believe, that we have tagged with Hacktoberfest. So I'll see if I can find you guys some links for those later on. That's a good question. Clarity says, I always feel like pull requests should be called push requests. I get what you mean there. And definitely that is a confusing aspect of, or can be confusing aspect of GitHub for folks who aren't familiar with Git terminology. But how many companies are participating? That's a good question. I don't know how many projects we have participating in Hacktoberfest this year, but would love to get those numbers and see just how many projects you guys have the ability to contribute to. Great. Let's go ahead and move to our first co-sponsor here, Mike. So we're going to go ahead and bring Mike on stage, and Mike is going to talk about what MLH is doing. Hey there, Mike. Mike, I don't think I'm getting your.
Muted there. We got to start out with some technical difficulties. I can't go too smoothly right in the beginning. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you, Mike. Thanks for joining. And can you tell us a little bit about MLH?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Mike Swift, Mike or Swift, either one is fine. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Major League Hacking, or MLH, as maybe more people know us today. So I didn't start out actually as a traditional technologist. I was actually an aspiring lawyer who kind of fell backwards into tech. I didn't really tell anybody about it. I didn't know about open source or being a developer or startups or anything like that. And eventually a friend found out I coded and invited me to this thing called a hackathon. I'd never heard about it before. It sounded like something, elite programmers did, not some beginner like me, but he convinced me to go. And I walked into this room with about 100 other students who'd given up their weekend of, doing all the things university students love to do, to come back to campus and come up with these crazy ideas for inventions like robots and websites and apps, and bring them to life over the course of just 24 hours. And I think I learned more that weekend than I had in my entire university degree up to that point. And so the next day when I looked myself in the mirror, I said, that was the greatest experience of my life. Like, what am I thinking? Wanting to be a lawyer? Of course, I've got to be a hacker. And I did the thing that felt really natural. I switched to computer science and was immediately shocked by what I found, because, it definitely wasn't using the latest and greatest technologies. And honestly, it was way more theory than practice. Like, the thing I loved about that hackathon was solving real problems with code. And so I had to take my education in my own hands. I kept doing hackathons. Eventually, I got brave enough to do open source, did capstones. I worked my way up to an internship, but I had to figure that all out myself, and it was kind of lonely and it was really tough, And so when I graduated, I quickly realized that, no matter who you are, whether you're coming out of a top tier computer science program, a boot camp, a state school like I did, you're self-taught. Today in the age of AI, you're an engineer with a decade of experience trying to keep pace with stuff that literally changes by the minute. We all have to learn by doing. And so Major League Hacking is an organization that helps developers or aspiring technologists do just that, whether it's our hackathon programs or partnering with DigitalOcean on something like Hacktoberfest. It's all about helping developers learn by doing, build that track record, build the confidence, build the network that'll support them in their journey. And you can find out more about MLH over on our website, but literally anywhere that you're out there learning by doing with code, MLH is probably there in some way supporting you. And we're really proud to be partnering up with DO on Hacktoberfest really more officially this year.
That's awesome. Yeah, great to hear, and we're happy to have you participating, Mike. And great to hear that's where you got started. I certainly remember back in the day when I was first starting out in graveyard shift support. We had hackathons occasionally among the support team to see who could design the toughest server, the fastest responding server, things like that. So love stuff like that, and that's definitely, I think, most people who are in this industry have gone through a lot of hackathons, a lot of projects like that, and it's great to see that we can give back now that we're at this point.
Yeah, and open source can be really scary, right? Something like 50% of developers haven't actually contributed to open source yet, but want to. And when you talk about why they haven't gotten started, something like a third say that they don't think they have the skills, and another third say that they actually don't know where to get started because it's just too overwhelming. And that's why I love events like this. Things that are tough to do on your own, we come together as a community, whether it's virtually in a kickoff like this or in-person Hacktoberfest meetups that anybody in the world can attend over the next month. It's about bringing people together to figure out that journey, not in a less lonely way, Actually, my first open source contribution was quickly reverted about 15 minutes after it hit main because I had introduced a bug into the project. And honestly, that scared me for a long time coming back to contributing. Yeah. But I wish Hacktoberfest would have been around back then so that I could have, found a place to gain my confidence back and really, get going and be a great open source citizen from the very beginning.
Yeah, and that's almost a rite of passage, right? A lot of people are scared to introduce bugs, but that's how you learn is by making mistakes. And I thought Anushka brought up a great question, so I wanted to highlight it here. What's the best way to design a repo so that even a first-time contributor feels like they belong? And one thing I wanted to say on this is a really well-written README is excellent. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, Mike. Is there a way that people can design their repos so that it's easy for other people to contribute?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think a README and documentation are really critical, right? And you go to a repo and you can imagine there's no README, and you might spend more time trying to figure out what the project is than how you can actually help and making it better. So I definitely think that is table stakes for sure. The other thing that I think is really powerful and important, especially in the age of AI, and I know so much of our conversation today during the kickoff is about what AI means for open source, is about having great test suites, right? If you're going to use AI to generate code, you need to have the confidence that it's working in the same way that if, people are contributing manually writing the code, but even more so because the number of lines that are being created is just so exponentially higher, right? And so as a maintainer, putting in guardrails like linters or formatters, making sure you have a test suite that runs on any PR with clear feedback around where the issues are in the code, that's stuff that's going to ultimately help you prevent edge cases that you can't see and make that first-time contributor experience so much better. The other thing I would call out too is there's so much you can do as a maintainer in terms of providing context tools for your contributors as they're getting started, right? LLMs are trained on data that exists out in the world before the time they were released. So naturally, in an open source project that's literally evolving every day as people are contributing, the LLM is not going to have the most up-to-date information about exact layout of the code or what the best kind of practices are around your API or whatever you're exposing. And so, using tools like an LLMs.txt or having a docs folder that an LLM can ingest strategically to add context as it's helping the developer contribute is another really important thing that maintainers should be thinking about right now. And then the last one, which is a little bit less technical, but I think is something that's really important, especially during Hacktoberfest, is just making your repo feel welcoming from a community perspective. When somebody opens up an issue, is the first thing you're saying, everything that's wrong with the issue or the PR that's coming in, or are you welcoming people to your community and thanking them for their contribution in advance and encouraging them to keep going and telling them how close they are to the finish line to actually getting it merged, right? So I think that having that positive, community-oriented approach to dealing with inbound requests from community members is another really critical way to making sure that people have the confidence to contribute from the very beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think especially the LLMs.txt thing is one thing. It's one of the newer things that didn't used to be a requirement for a good, well-maintained repo, but these days, absolutely something that you should be thinking about. And it's a good topic to read up on if you guys are designing your own repos and your own projects and you want contributions. Certainly, a lot of the people who are coming in and contributing are going to be using an LLM in some way, and it's good to have that LLMs.txt so that they can more effectively contribute.
Yeah, and I know we have a bunch of great speakers today who are talking about specifically things in that realm, right? Like how you can use AI tooling to make contributing to open source a little bit easier, right? Like we want to make sure that this is the best possible experience and the onboarding ramp into this community is as low as possible while maintaining a super high quality bar for the software that we literally all depend on every day.
Whoops, I had muted my mic this time. That's my bad.
I couldn't tell whose audio that one was.
No, that's my bad. A cough. We need a cough button. And I see we've got another question here. Is every Hacktoberfest tagged repo will be counted, or is it possible for someone to put the tag on a normal repo? I believe that any repo that puts the Hacktoberfest tag on their repo will be eligible for contribution. I don't believe that they need to sign up directly with Hacktoberfest in order for that to be counted. But please check out the Hacktoberfest website, and that's got the best resources for the specifics about how to make sure your contributions are counted. Great. What's the best way to get started if I'm a complete beginner? I think that's a great question. And we were just talking about how to design a repo for beginners, but if you are a beginner and you're looking to contribute to open source for the first time, what do you think? We were just talking about how we both got started with some small hackathons, not knowing exactly how we were doing anything back then. What do you think is the best way to get started if someone's a complete beginner coming into a project, something like Hacktoberfest?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd say that you got to come in with the right attitude, right? Like starting from the position of I am going to contribute and this is going to happen is where I would begin, right? This month is all about helping beginners and newbies get into this community and make their first contributions, gain confidence, contribute to open source. So first off, come in with that perspective that you are going to contribute and as part of Hacktoberfest and that it's going to be much smoother of an experience than you're probably expecting. The second thing you need to do is figure out what project you actually want to contribute to. Again, I would start on the Hacktoberfest website. There's a ton of projects where the maintainers are explicitly looking for people like you to come in and help them with the challenges that they're facing. I would find projects that speak to you, right? Like picking an arbitrary project that maybe is in a language that you don't use or is in a subject area that you're not interested in. It's going to be much harder to contribute than if you find something that's near and dear to your heart already and that you're excited to figure out how to use under the hood. Next, I would focus on what are the issues that you could potentially help with. Often people will tag them with good first issue or other labels like that to help contributors or aspiring contributors kind of figure out where they need to go, like by goal posting what some of those projects might be. But you can look deeper too, right? Like you could just read through the documentation for the project and figure out some small area of improvement that might help people in the future. Another great example, especially in this age, is maybe if a repo isn't set up in a way to support LLMs right now out of the box, you could think about a pull request to help add some of that infrastructure, like LLM specific documentation or other context tools or things along that line. But don't be afraid to start small, right? Like I dove right into my first PR and tried to contribute code, but maybe I could have started with something like documentation or something that maybe it was a little bit more straightforward before I, tried for something big. But there's no contribution that's too big or too small during Hacktoberfest or in general in open source, to be really clear. But again, I'd find something that's, coming with that attitude of I'm going to contribute, find a project that really speaks to you that you're excited to get into, because the best way to learn is to really understand the code base and what the project does and really get under the hood. Find an issue that feels approachable. Don't be afraid to start small with things like documentation or style. And don't be afraid to think about greenfield things that could be valuable. You obviously want to talk to the maintainer before you go off changing anything, radical, but doing some basic housekeeping around helping repos make sure that they have a great contributor onboarding experience or a great developer experience is certainly fair game, especially in this day and age where this stuff is changing by the minute sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And just to talk about that, everybody, I think a lot of times people who are best at coding are just hate writing documentation. So that's definitely an area where you can help out with these teams that are writing a lot of good code, but don't necessarily love writing the documentation. If that's something you can help out with, I think that's a really great idea. And I also saw a good question here, just to take maybe one or two more questions before we go to our next section. This is a good question, I thought. Which do you think is more helpful for somebody contributing in Hacktoberfest? Fixing one critical bug or making the repo beginner friendly enough that 50 new contributors can contribute more easily?
It's a tough question because I think it's pretty gray. There's not exactly a good black and white answer here, but it really depends, right? Listen, if you find a critical bug in an open source project that we all are depending on, fixing that can be one of the highest leverage and highest impact things you can do, right? Think about the cascading effects of all of the other people who depend on these projects downstream, whether they're individual developers or businesses. Ultimately, the power of open source is that we come together to make software in public and make it great. And that there's more than just, a single developer maintaining these tools that literally every company in the world depends on. So that's absolutely important. At the same time, though, maintainers are busy, right? It often can be a thankless job or a labor of love, and getting more people into their projects to help them, lead the way in developing that software is really valuable, right? It gives them time, it gives them energy, it lets them do more. And, fixing up a repo so 50 new contributors can join, even if one of those goes on to be a serious contributor or maintainer, that can be an exponential gain for a lot of projects, right? So that's also really important. So the truth is, I think it's there's no right answer. My best advice actually is to ask the maintainer when possible, right? The leaders in those communities know what they need firsthand because they're the world's leading experts in their own problems. And if you go to them and say, hey, I've got two options, I'm thinking about this or this, you're going to get some good advice from the maintainer about where they think your contribution is going to be best directed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. And that's a great call out is don't hesitate to reach out to the maintainers of these projects that you're considering contributing to. Mike mentioned, obviously, if you're thinking about changing some core functionality, of course, you want to talk to the maintainer first, but it's fine to reach out just if you have questions about the way they like to see contributions formatted. A lot of times that stuff will be a part of the documentation already, but if it's not, or you're not sure, don't hesitate to reach out. One of the best aspects of GitHub is the ability for people to communicate on GitHub as well between each other and make improvements that way.
Yeah, actually, just one thing I wanted to interject with really quickly, and coming back to an earlier question about what maintainers can do to make that contributor experience easy. But honestly, having places people can ask questions, right? Whether that's an issue format or maybe a Slack or Discord community, depending on how real-time communication works for you. But as a maintainer, making sure you think about where do those questions actually come in? How do we actually get people working on the right things and giving them the confidence to do it is a really powerful, easy, low-hanging fruit tool, especially during Hacktoberfest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the case not just with open source projects, but with things in general, right? If you want people to help, then it's best to tell them exactly how to help. So that's another good to reach back to our previous thing. We were talking about good documentation is super helpful for if you want to have a repo that's easy for people to contribute to. So that's excellent. Thanks so much for answering all these great questions from the audience today, Mike, and thanks for MLH's Major League Hacking's contributions and sponsorship of Hacktoberfest. It's excellent to have a wonderful group of people like MLH joining us.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I make a couple of really quick plugs here for things people can do this month?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. All right, so I got a couple of things I just wanted to share for everybody who's tuning into the stream. First and foremost, for the last couple of years, MLH has actually been helping DigitalOcean with the in-person elements of Hacktoberfest. So if you're a community leader, and community leader can mean anything. It could mean you're running a meetup group in your city, or you're the president of a club on your campus, or maybe you're just a rising leading engineer and an engineering team, and you want to step up and help other engineers around you learn something new or make their first open source contributions. Anybody can put their hand up and say, hey, I want to organize an event as part of Hacktoberfest. If you go over to the Hacktoberfest website and you click on events, there's a link where you can literally fill out a form to get your event added to the official schedule. There's no event that's too big or too small. You could have hundreds or maybe thousands of people at your Hacktoberfest events, or you could have 5 people in a coffee shop. It really doesn't matter. This month is all about bringing people together to learn how to contribute and to make this thing that can be really tough to do alone less lonely and more likely to be successful because we're working on it as a community. So I highly encourage everybody to think about, what does an in-person Hacktoberfest event look like for me and my network and my community? MLH and DigitalOcean and all of the partners for Hacktoberfest are so excited to help support you. I know that the MLH team is shipping out stickers and things like that to some of those events to help make sure people have the ability to show off their pride in joining this community. But it's a great way to earn your points towards your Hacktoberfest swag is by actually getting together in person with people and hacking away. The other thing I wanted to share really quickly is throughout the month, the MLH team is going to be doing some live streams as part of Hacktoberfest as well. We're going to be talking to contributors, maintainers, companies leading the way in open source, all kinds of great stuff. We're going to be doing it every Monday and Thursday, it sounds like, in the morning Eastern time. We'll be publishing the schedule on MLH's socials, but if you follow us on YouTube or Twitch, you'll be able to get access to those live, and then we'll be publishing them after the fact too. But if you've got a story that you want to tell that you think could help inspire other developers, other hackers to get into open source or be more successful as they're contributing during the month of October, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And finally, I just want to say, hey, the world is changing a lot. Whether you're optimistic or pessimistic about AI and what that means for developers, the reality is it's here today. And the technology changes so fast that there's literally no way to keep up with it besides learning by doing. And while I know that we don't want to encourage people using AI to just produce tons of slop that maintainers can't go through, AI can be an accelerant. It can help you be a better contributor and make more of an impact through your work. And learning how to use these tools in a way that's not just surface area, where you actually understand how to work as a team with AI, is going to be such a powerful skill going into the future. And during Hacktoberfest is a great time to practice that skill. We have a lot of content today to help you understand what some of the opportunities in that front are and what some of the leading tools are out there. I'm really excited about it. I know the whole team is, but I just want to encourage everybody out there. Don't be afraid about open source. Don't be afraid about AI. This is a month where you can dive in head first and feel safe and feel confident and be a part of a community where you absolutely belong. And we're going to do everything we can to support you on making your first, second, or 10,000th contribution, no matter where you are in your open source journey. So thank you, everybody. We're so excited to be supporting this from the Major League Hacking side. Big shout out to DigitalOcean for all the hard work bringing Hacktoberfest together as always. And I'm sure you'll be seeing me and many members of the MLH team and community around throughout the whole month. So happy hacking, everybody.
Thanks so much, Mike. And it takes people like you, Mike, and organizations like MLH to really turbocharge this stuff. So so thanks so much for your help and all that you do.
My pleasure.
All right, awesome. Well, now we're going to move on to a discussion with Yash Sharma. He's going to talk about running AI ML workloads on Kubernetes. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Yash. I'm excited for you guys to see this.
Thank you, Darian. It was an amazing conversation with Mike. I'm really excited that people are starting contributing in the Hacktoberfest. I personally started 6 years back with first contribution in my Hacktoberfest, and that's how I started my open source journey. But today in this quick session, I will try to share what I've been building over here in the DigitalOcean, which is pretty exciting, and how all others can contribute in that as well. So let me share my screen and let me share the quick slide I just made, and Awesome. I hope it is visible. Okay, so I'll start with my introduction. I work as a developer advocate at DigitalOcean. I'm also a maintainer of a project called Mishri. So as I said, I started back then with a small contribution I did in the Mishri, and it's been years that I've been contributing in that project. And it all started with a small contribution I wanted to do for a Mishri. So I have been doing open source for a lot of time, and that's why I try to always make our projects open source, which I work on. And one of the projects that I've been working on is running the AI models on the Kubernetes. So some of you might be familiar what is the Kubernetes and why we are running AI MLs, and the craze of the AI MLs is right now going a lot in the industry. And with that, a lot of support needs to be done from the side of the Kubernetes, because Kubernetes is being used in the industry for managing infrastructure for all over the world. And now it is a time we use Kubernetes to run AI ML models on that as well. So just to give a quick context, LLM are not a web app. LLM doesn't work. Uh, uh, it doesn't work like an web app, which you can just click and start and application will run. It needs to be done a proper configuration and proper setup to run inside the Kubernetes, because Kubernetes doesn't come with the native support to run the IML models. So just to give a very basic idea what we are going to deal with, we will be dealing with like when you start an LLM application, you need to configure thousands of token, and it takes hundreds of GBs of your RAM, not like a simple web app which takes only 100 MB of your RAM. So it has different configuration that compared to the LLM, with, compared to the web app we think of. It have different scaling patterns. So all these things I have considered and created a project which let me share with you. So I have to reshare my screen to do that. So just a second. I'll share my window itself. So I hope you can see it. And as you can see it, this is one of the repo I maintain here in DigitalOcean. And I will share the link of this as well at the last of my session. So if I go to this particular project, in this particular project, I very well documented this project, how this project work, how I have done it, and it have very well maintained README as well, which you can go through and follow as well. So if you are interested in running AI ML models on Kubernetes, this is one of the repo I worked on, and I will show you demo as well. For now, it is, as you can see, that it's a very basic architecture where I'm running simple NVIDIA GPU operator, NVIDIA NIM. I'm using NVIDIA to support GPU for running AI ML models on Kubernetes. So this project I created, which you can all check out the steps we all are mentioned here, and I'm also looking for contributions as well. So if you have a new idea which you think we can support, we can use any other types of AMD or GPU supports, we can use it. That would be really, really awesome. Or we can support any other types of open source project as well, which is also appreciated. So I will share the link of this repository as well, which you can go and check out, and how you can contribute in this particular repo. I will be here to help you as well. And along with that, there is one more repository which we also maintain, which is called the Scale with Simplicity repository. The purpose of this repository is also to simplify the architectures. So if you go inside the reference architecture and click on maybe globally load balanced architecture, so as you can see that how this architecture has been used, and it is used using the Terraform modules. So if you have any idea, you think of we can add a more configuration in this, maybe database, maybe VPC pairing, which you think can improve this particular reference architecture, would be an amazing way to contribute here as well. So I will share the link of both of the repositories which I lead, and are really, really helpful to. And these are the reference architecture and the projects I have been using by many of the open source projects, and they are adopting these things and using these open source initiatives and architectures as well. So if I come back on my slide, I'll share why I tried to do that some nerdy stuff by running LLM on Kubernetes. There were a few reasons, like I want to use the infrastructure automation that Kubernetes provide, high availability and reliability that Kubernetes provide, the multi-cloud deployment that it provides, and the cloud agnostic deployment that Kubernetes come with, and monitoring and logging and GitOps itself. Kubernetes itself is an open source project, and you can see that how the power of all the open source projects are now have that projects like Linux, Kubernetes now run the world's 99% of the servers. So if I quickly show the demo, I will need to reshare my screen again. So I'll stop sharing and I will share the screen. So just a second. Okay, I hope you can see it. Right now, as you're seeing, this UI interface is using Llama 3.1 AI model. And guess what? This model is right now running in my local Kubernetes cluster. And if I say, what is Hacktoberfest, you will see the response, how fast it comes with, how well detailed response it comes up with. And this all is happening right now in my Kubernetes cluster. So this was pretty nerdy stuff, which I did for the past months. And I'm sharing with you all that how you can make your projects as well. You can make them open source and allow them others to contribute and make them actually helpful, which is used by the industry and which is built on the best practices as well. And by contributing to these repo, you will also get the support from one of the great engineers who work at DigitalOcean, and they will help you to understand what actually going on in this repositories, and I will be there as well. So I hope you get the idea, and let me just quickly share the QR code with you all that you can use to. These are the QR code which you can scan to for both of these repos and contribute as well. So I'll give you 5 seconds to do that, and till then I'll really encourage you all to don't think about anything. Just go and see if that issue you can work on, if it matches your skill set. And if not, you can feel free to drop a comment in the issues and say, hey, I'm new to this repository and I really want to contribute in this particular issue. And that's how I started, and that's how I will encourage you as well. Okay, awesome. Last thing from my side is the hackathons. So DigitalOcean, we are organizing the hackathons all over the world for Hacktoberfest, a great celebration. We are doing it in a lot of cities, Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore, and New York, SFO. So do make sure to check out the meetup.com for how to register and how to participate in those hackathons as well. They will be amazing, and you will have great swags, great learning, great mentors, amazing and fun as well. Thank you, everyone. And that was all from my side.
Thanks so much, Yash. Really appreciate that. And yeah, just to second that, definitely if you can find a local meetup that you can attend, would love to see those meetups filled up with folks working on Hacktoberfest hackathon projects. So
definitely.
That's going to be awesome. Thanks so much for that, Yash. And really appreciate that. I'm curious if anybody has any questions for Yash, but if not, we can go ahead and go to our next section. A lot of positive feedback on all that, Yash, and folks, don't hesitate to go to hacktoberfest.com as well for details, for links to those meetup sites and things like that. All that information is on the Hacktoberfest website. So thank you. Yeah, I believe, yes, one of the QR codes that Yash shared, he shared 2 QR codes for the 2 repos that he was mentioning here. So if you guys do want to contribute to those repositories, you are more than welcome to for your some of your Hacktoberfest contributions. I'm sure that he would appreciate it. We'll make sure that those repo links are posted in the chat at some point as well. So we'll get that done just shortly after this. All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yash. All right, next up here, folks, we are going to have a panel discussion with a few folks who are coming to us to talk about some interesting topics. Basically, Maintainer 101. If you're a maintainer of a project, or if you know maintainers of a project, what are the basics of that? What does that entail? What does that mean? So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ram, Brian, and Ryan for that discussion.
Thanks so much. Mic check. Sound good?
You sound perfect. Excellent.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Hey everyone. I'm Ryan. I'm a developer advocate from DigitalOcean, and I'm here with Ram Iyengar and Brian Douglas from Cloud Foundry and Continue.dev, respectively. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I'd love if you could just take a couple minutes, introduce yourself, and maybe talk a little bit about Cloud Foundry and Continue.dev. Maybe we'll start with you, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, go by bducky on GitHub. Actually, previously worked together for almost 5 years, so pretty familiar with Hacktoberfest. Ran developer advocacy there as well. Today I work at Continue. We're a open source coding agent, so we have an open source protocol that a lot of folks actually build on top of, but it's essentially started as a VS Code extension to connect your local models. So Continue itself is free through and through. You could run it locally, you could run it hosted using just a login on hub.continue.dev. And then what we're actually shipping today is the ability to run async background workflows from Continue. So you just got a sneak peek because we're not launching it for another 4 hours, but you could do async workflows, and 100% open source. Happy to go into more details on that, but we'll hand it over to Ram.
Hey, Brian. Thanks. Hi, Ryan. Thanks again for having me. My name is Ram. I am a developer advocate for the Linux Foundation, although I'm not sure how much advocacy the LF needs, but sometimes it's very surprising. So I work with a few projects in the Linux Foundation, chiefly Cloud Foundry, and I also work on open source security as part of their community outreach efforts. So I work a little bit for the OpenSSF as well. I have always been a faithful observer of Hacktober festivities. I've participated a little. I turned skeptic for a few years in the middle, but I really think the world is a better place with some Hacktoberfest, to push all of the open source work. And the past 4 or 5 years of being immersed in open source full time has really opened my eyes to the benefits of the event. And this time I was reached out by a few of the DO folks if I wanted to participate, and I just grabbed at the opportunity with both hands. That's me. And before we say anything, Brian, thank you so much for all of the work behind amplified.dev. I'm really enjoying consuming that content a lot, and I think it comes at a very important time for the developer community at large, placing the focus on the proper use of AI, things like that. So I'm really happy for all of the great work that's going on.
Yeah, appreciate that. I didn't even mention that, but yeah, glad that you're aware. And also, I did spend 7 months at the LF with the CNCF earlier this year. So a lot of overlap here in this call.
Nice.
Great. Thank you so much. Speaking of AI, actually, so we've been talking about AI today. Obviously, it's on everyone's minds. We've seen the rise of general purpose tools like Claude Code, and then obviously more specialized tools like Continue.dev and Lovable in recent years. How has AI affected your role as a maintainer, both in maybe building a project and also the logistics of maintaining it? Maybe we'll start with you on this one, Ram.
It's been a mixed bag, to be honest. There's more PRs, but I'm not sure there should be. That's the essence of where my head is at. So a lot of new folks have been able to get on board easily with projects thanks to AI, but there's also a lot of PRs that are coming at a higher rate and a higher volume than a lot of communities can manage. So AI has been a bit of a mixed bag in that regard. We're seeing a lot of people who we can onboard very quickly. They're able to uh, get up to speed with the project quite fast. Sifting through documentation is not as hard. So one of the biggest Achilles heel in my experience for open source projects have been good documentation. And thanks to AI, some of that load has sort of shifted, and you can still get away with like mediocre documentation at best, because like agents can pick up code much better than humans without documentation can, fortunately. And so in those aspects, it's been good as an open source community to be receiving a lot more help. However, because of coding agents uh, generating code much faster than we can review and merge and consume, there are certain difficulties in those areas, and there's new work that's happening to simplify some of these workflows, so like automated merge and things like that. And uh, I'm still on the fence about how much of that we should adopt. How far can we push without having a human in the loop and things like that. So very exciting times and a mixed bag. But I'm totally happy to embrace this kind of chaos and see what emerges.
Yeah, that's a great point. The kind of lowering the barrier to entry does inherently almost shift a little bit of weight onto maintainers if they're to maintain a robust code base. So thank you for that. Yeah. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the AI is just getting us zero to tech debt pretty quick. So like you could go vibe code your own projects in a weekend, and if you choose to maintain that, you might have a lot of cleanup to do. I've done that myself. I'm cleaning up a project that has a bunch of TypeScript inits all over the place because I didn't know I was going to maintain this thing. But when it comes to like open source, I think what we're doing with AI is basically exposing a lot of things that like if you didn't write documentation before, like it's going to be exposed of like, hey, I can't use this thing. Like everyone's trying to contribute in like the wrong way, or if you don't have a contributing MD or like best practices in place on like code review and everything like that, it's exposing that. So I've been writing a series of blog posts around like contributions and my experience in AI. So like Dev2, I've got I guess my title is b.dougie.dev. That's like my website I post to all the time. I just reviewed it PR yesterday. It was generated by AI. It was very clearly generated by AI. So I reviewed it with AI and was like, hey, AI, use my contributing MD and use like the established practices to line by line go into the code. And because in GitHub CLI, I have like a pretty good understanding of GitHub CLI. You can go GH review and then the PR and then actually call out different line numbers. So like it's a thing that I would not want to do myself and go line by line to just generated code, but just call out every single place that was like not quite up to speed and just ask the contributor to like use AI to like fix all the stuff that you overlooked. So they responded back in AI like within an hour and like fixed everything that I had said, and it's actually a good PR. So it depends on how much we embrace it. So like what I'm finding right now is like everyone, you might not want the full continuous loop of like I'm gonna go vibe code a PR to an open source project, but there are different pieces that could be automated through AI. So like when I drop into a code base, first thing I'm doing is like chatting with the AI and saying, hey, tell me about this code base. Tell me about like where the things are. Give me historical lessons. I mentioned previously that I was at the LF, but I ran a company called OpenSauce.pizza, and we had deeper insights into open source projects. And we built this AI platform, actually a RAG search called Star Search, that you can go find historical record about a code base that you could just chat in a chat. So like it doesn't exist today. It exists in different places, like Repo Prompt is a good example of this. What I'm getting at is like you're only as good as the tools that you have in front of you, but you also kind of have to be a master of the tools. So you can't just take everything for granted. You kind of have to learn the nuance, like read the book, read the guide, or at least have AI read it back to you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we've all been at that point with AI where it starts kind of going off the rails and using conflicting design patterns or not maintaining parallelism. And that only gets harder as the project grows. So yeah, I like the approach of fighting fire with fire and using AI for that first pass. Thanks so much. Yeah. And then, yeah, kind of on this topic of PRs, managing scope is always a challenge for maintainers. So How do you know when to say no to a feature and maintain that scope? Is it project focus? Are you usually is it bandwidth of maintainers? How do you kind of go about that thought process? And we can start with you on this one, Brian.
Yeah, I'd say like first principles is like understanding like why this thing exists. Like, what is the goal for this library or this project? So I continue our goal, like you mentioned, amplify dev, or like our goal is to amplify developers, not replace them. So like when we think about the features, like we have this feature that's currently in like a GitHub discussion. People just wanted to generate their commit message using continue, and like every approach is different. Like we probably get that same PR every other month. We'll get someone new because the friction of contributing to continues, there's a bar where you kind of have to know there's a lot of code there, but it's a VS Code extension. It's all TypeScript, like it's approachable. So we'll get the same thing opened up as an issue and like a lot of complaints, but then we're like, I don't know if this is actually the best way to implement this feature. So we actually thought about it all summer. And then over the summer, we ended up shipping a CLI that we felt like was a better interaction to generate, because you're already doing the git add, git commit, and all this other stuff. Like the CLI is a better place to generate your commit message. And it feels like the sort of industry is moving into like CLI friendly experiences for AI. So a lot of it's just like let the discussion happen. Like nothing's on fire on getting user feedback. So the opportunity is like let the discussion build. And I think with AI, it's all about context engineering, less about vibe coding. The more context you have around the use cases and the user journey and the story is actually better before going and attempt a feature. And also very likely, if you have more context, you could do a better job in vibe coding a particular feature as well. So I tend to always take a step back and let the conversation happen before like making a decision and prioritizing things.
That's a great reminder. The house is not always on fire. And who knows, if you wait a summer, maybe the models get a little bit better and make your job a little easier.
Not even a summer, probably just like a month.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least maybe a new version. Yeah, thanks so much. How about you, Ram?
I think the key here is like ruthlessly prioritizing things. You have to really put on your product manager hat at that point and hope that you're pushing the community in the right direction. One thing I've found with the open source community is that people are extremely vocal about why they want certain things and how they want certain things. And so I think, to Brian, you let people discuss openly and show you the need for something, and then as a community make a decision whether or not to pick up a feature and things like that. I think what being an open source has taught me is like ambiguity is like contributor times what it is in like a regular commercial company sort of thing. I mean, you have to handle all of the human factors and the heuristics in one team of developers. Now just amplify that by however many teams there are in however many companies that are contributing, and so it can get very difficult. And so the value of engineering time becomes that much more when you're doing stuff that's open source. And so you really have to put on a very thick skin and be able to prioritize ruthlessly. And that's what has helped a lot of teams succeed in my experience.
Yeah, and if I can say one more thing, which is like I think the contextual load of taking PRs in the open, like you as a contributor, like if you're giving me like 100 files touched, that load of me going to review that and confirming is going to take way more time than if you're like, hey, I saw a small win. Let me break up this thing into like small wins and give you a journey and a story. And I think there's I actually spent a lot of time with the Evan Yu of Vue fame and Veet. And he was talking about how he finds contributors and future maintainers are the folks who kind of understand like where the maintainers brain is going next, or kind of understanding like, hey, I saw you were like responding to these issues in this way. I'm going to guess you probably want to like organize it this way. And that takes time and like participation in community. And like most folks will not spend as much time in the community before they make their first contribution, which tends to be where a lot of the failure starts, is like you just have no idea, no context of like what's happening, what story has been told. But you want to jump in as fast as possible because this month it's 6 PR. So like I'll say like 6 PRs is going to be pretty quick with AI. So what you spend more time is like learning about the community and the code base.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So kind of I guess the flip side of just having a community of an open source community of contributors is always security. And we saw last year with the XE utils, vulnerability, that this is always a concern. And now with the rise of AI, just making it easier and easier to contribute to more and more, I'd say that this is always a concern, but still a prevalent concern. How do you, in your own projects, what philosophy do you take in this balance? I mean, of course, in some projects, security is not as critical as something like XZ. But what steps do you take, just kind of keeping security in mind as a maintainer as you guide the project? And we can start with you on this one, Ram.
So I was like a lot of the developers I know, I was never a security person until Log4j happened. And then, being at the heart of an open source community and watching all of these companies scramble, it really opened my eyes to, hey, so the software supply chain is real. It's not like something that's abstract and only analysts speak and understand about it. Engineers need to know this as well. And I've invested the greater part of the past 3 years to learn a lot more about software supply chain security. And I think it's a very off-brand kind of security, the kind of security that developers have or are generally used to and they've experienced is there's somebody sitting wearing a hoodie in a dark room, pecking something on an Arc Linux or something like that. And then there's the security team that always swoops in before your release and says, hey, you can't release this because of these problems. And so there is something that's a lot more different, something that's much more continuous in terms of a process and much more close and intimate to what a developer does in terms of writing code, checking that in, using dependencies, consuming stuff downstream, and checking stuff back upstream. And so there is a brand of security that deals with all this. And so I focused on supply chain security and focused on all of these issues, from type squatting, and even the recent like NPM attack comes to mind, where somebody just gained access to tons and tons of NPM packages just because of a tiny compromise. And so the ripple effect of that is so huge that I don't think it can be explained or contained in a simple way. Is something that developers have to understand. So for me, it begins with educating people about the software supply chain, about how much more important the supply chain is if you're consuming or contributing to open source. And so because of AI and all of this momentum that's built around open source and things like that, I think the first area to feel the strain was around the security process and protocol that was in place, which in a lot of cases was nothing. So people are really becoming more aware right now, and they feel the need for something like that. And I think we are in a much better place compared to say 3 or 5 or even 10 years ago, in terms of, okay, developers now recognize this as a problem and they want to be able to do something about it. Fortunately, there's enough tools and enough techniques that are now documented. So there is a good starting point. I'm very grateful for people like the OWASP and the OpenSSF, where they're giving people a path. So if this is your SDLC, then do X, Y, and Z. If this is you're into LLMs and trying LLMs in production right now, here's an OWASP top 10 in terms of how you do LLM security. So there's people who are, as a community, as an open community, responding to a lot of the changes that are happening in the market, and I'm really grateful for the work that's happening in these communities and being made available public.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot there, and yeah, I think also the just the importance of like enterprise sponsorship and funding of projects, just to make sure that there are enough maintainers and enough bandwidth to actually make sure that people are paying and addressing these issues. So Thank you. Brian, do you have any thoughts on security?
Yeah. I mean, I always defer to the tools that I have at my fingertips. So like I've spent a lot of time in open source, and I've seen the sort of, I remember Log4j. I was like when I first started writing code, like what, 10 years ago? Well, maybe a little longer than that. But what I'm getting at is like, I use things like Sneak for finding vulnerabilities. I use Socket Security. A lot of these tools are free and can be leveraged. And I do recommend like adding these types of tools to your GitHub repo earlier rather than later. And a lot of times we don't think we're ready for prime time, so we don't think about these things. But I catch code QL vulnerabilities all the time in the way I'm structuring my code. And like things like SQL injection, because I write a lot of SQL now because AI, I can do a bunch of things that I don't like doing previously. So I guess what I'm getting is like we have all these tools, and we used to be in a position where the expectation is like before you go to PR, you should be the first reviewer of your code. But now we have AI review tools as well that are reviewing the code once PR is open. So I think we kind of lean into that a bit by adding some tools to help sanitize and clean up stuff prior to humans entering the loop. So yeah, highly recommend like setting the stuff up. Actually, I'm going to be writing a blog post about setting up your own code reviewer. So if you like CodeRabbit and things like that, you can leverage other tools. You can build your own version of this, and this is probably a pretty good like project as you're trying to get your PRs reviewed and waiting for those to get merged. Is like set up code reviewers in your side project for security and for quality. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I like the reminder too that it's never really too early to be thinking about security. So appreciate that reminder. I think we're about at time here, so I just want to give you guys a couple minutes if you'd like to just have any call outs or anything you'd like to direct our viewers' attention to. Maybe we'll go back to you for this one, Brian. Yeah, one thing I'll say is that we're taking contributions for Continue. So Continue dev/Continue is our repo. So I spent a lot of time cleaning up the docs. So if anybody wants to help with the docs and wants to get some easy wins, my best recommendation is use the product. Like if you use the product first, you will find bugs. You will find things in onboarding that just are not quite explained. And I was kind of spamming the chat earlier before I joined. Like the new user experience is the best documentation you can provide as a contribution. Because I'll never know what it's like to be a new user of Continue. But there's a bunch of people in this chat and in Hacktoberfest that will learn this very quickly just by going through the onboarding. And I'm not asking you to commit to using Continue as your coding agent moving forward. I'm just asking you to onboard and try it and then help fix the docs. And if you stick around, you'll probably fix some more detailed things. And like you probably get 6 PRs super quick that way. So docs.continue.dev. Thank you so much. And how about you, Ram?
I'm a huge advocate of efforts like these helping fix documentation. I think it's one of the best contributions that people can make. Time and again, I keep telling people that I love doing documentation for open source projects. It's where I think people need help the most. So I'll definitely echo Brian's sentiment on that. There's obviously a ton of LF projects out there that need help, both technical, documentation, usability, and all of that stuff. Feel free to hop in and just be mindful of other maintainers and contributors. They have very limited bandwidth, and so I've seen some conversations during Hacktoberfest spiral into needless discussion and bitter aftertaste for a few people. We definitely want to try and avoid that. Let's make this an enjoyable experience for everybody here, and hopefully you can get something wonderful out of it.
Thank you so much. It's Ram Iyengar and Brian Douglas. Appreciate you guys so much for joining the panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. That was a really interesting discussion. I really appreciate everyone who participated in that panel. Thanks so much for sharing all that knowledge with all the folks joining here today. That's one great thing about Hacktoberfest. It's an opportunity for people who have that experience and have that expertise to come in and share that knowledge with folks who are much newer to hacking and to contributing to code and things like that. So always great to see that that sort of mentorship. Next up, we're going to do our first quiz. So I talked to you folks before about the fact that we would be doing quizzes today, and we will be awarding 5 t-shirts as prizes to these quizzes. So super excited for everyone to get a shot at that. We will go ahead and start that soon here. So I think we'll be sharing a link in the chat, and then I will have the quiz up on screen here. So everybody, make sure you got your trigger fingers ready to participate in this. I believe, not sure if we'll have a QR code. I believe there will be a QR code that y'all can scan. There we go. Excellent. So please join the quiz. It is going to start here in just a minute. So you can use that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and use that code to join the quiz. So we'll get that started in just a few seconds here, give folks some time to join in. But anybody have any, thank you there very much. Yep. There's the code in the chat. I believe they just posted it. So you guys should be able to join with that. Awesome. Yeah. We're going to get folks, joining in here. We're going to see everybody's name on screen. So we'll give folks just a minute or two to join, so that everyone can participate in the quiz. That is quite the name. Paulo Ricardo Siqueira de Silva de Souza. That's a mouthful. Definitely like that one. Great, folks. Please join in. And I know we've got a lot more folks than when we started. If you have joined in and didn't get a chance to post where you're joining from at first, please feel free to post that now. Always love to see where folks are coming from around the world. So while we're waiting on folks to join the quiz, we can go ahead and post in the chat where you're coming at us from in the world. Love to see that stuff. We've also just posted a direct link to Slido. So if you guys want to join directly through that, you can join that as well. Malaysia. Stephania is coming from Malaysia. That's great to see. India as well. We've had a lot of folks from India joining today. Always good to see. Dubai. Okay, that's fun. I'm going to be there in a couple of weeks for the GITEX conference, or GITEX. Not sure exactly how you pronounce the name of the conference, but it's going to be a fun one either way. Got someone coming from Delhi, Sri Lanka, India again. Great to see. Great to see, folks. We've still got folks actively joining the quiz. So Argentina, always great to see. Ethiopia, South Korea, Nigeria. I'll see you there, Hanzo. If you stop by the DigitalOcean booth, you'll see me in person. Coming from the US, UK. Good to see everybody here today. India, that's right. I'm glad you're excited, Safali. All right, crossing 100 folks in the live quiz. Just a few more seconds and we'll get this started here, folks. Just want to make sure everybody who wants to join has an opportunity to do so. Okay, I think we're slowing down on that. So we'll go ahead and get that quiz started now. All right. Okay. In Hacktoberfest 2025, how many accepted pull requests do you need to complete the challenge? If you folks were listening to me, you should have heard this earlier. So this is a little test of how much you're paying attention to me. I know I put people to sleep sometimes, so that's I apologize if that's what happened, if you were asleep during this portion of the talk. Folks coming from Nashville, Pakistan, India, great to see. All right, folks, get your answers in. We've got almost everybody has contributed their answer here. Kentucky, we got someone, yeah, okay, so we got Tennessee, we got Kentucky, more folks from India, always great to see. Okay, last few folks getting their answers in now. Bangladesh, Pune. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and go to the next question. I know we've got a few folks who haven't answered yet, but okay, most of you folks got that one right. 87% got the correct answer. It is 6 this year. So thank you for that. All right, next question. Hacktoberfest contributions must only be made to repositories with a Hacktoberfest label. Is that true or false? You got a 50-50 shot on this one. Good luck, everyone. That's another thing we talked about earlier today. And folks, just as a reminder, we will be selecting 5 people who get the most answers right to win a T-shirt. So you guys should be connecting with your email on this quiz, and we'll be using that email to reach out to you about how to get you your T-shirt. True or false? Hacktoberfest contributions must only be made to repositories with a Hacktoberfest label. I think you guys can get this one. Probably figure it out with context clues if you haven't yet. I think we can go to the next question probably. 80% got it right. I'll be honest. I thought that number would be a little higher, but hey, that's good for you guys. It'll narrow the field down, more opportunities for you guys to win a T-shirt. Which of these would not count as a valid Hacktoberfest contribution? Fixing a typo in documentation, spamming a repo with low-quality PRs, improving project tests, or adding meaningful features. I think this is hopefully one that we get a lot of right answers on. Definitely want everyone to make valid Hacktoberfest contributions. And I hope that there are some context clues on this question that'll help you figure out which one's the correct answer and incorrect practice. The right answer, the wrong thing to do. More folks from India and Pakistan. And we got questions about how will the winner be judged. That's going to be from the people who got the most questions right. We're gonna select 5 of those. If we have more than 5 people who got the most questions correct, there'll be a random selection of those 5 people, and we'll reach out to you via email. I think we can go to the next question here probably, or see what the answers are on this one, I should say. All right, that's right. 94% getting that one correct. Spamming a repo with low quality PRs is what we do not want you to do. So don't do that for your Hacktoberfest contributions. Definitely want to see everyone contributing high quality stuff. Okay, halfway through the quiz, we've got a lot of folks that are 3 of 3. That's always good to see. All right, next question. Which year did Hacktoberfest start? Okay, this is the first question you may not know off the top of your head. We may not have gotten, we didn't talk about this one yet. I don't think we've said specifically what year this started in. But, well, you're not supposed to put the answer in chat, Ashutosh. You're supposed to put it in the Slido. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's the right answer. But please don't hesitate to put your answers in, folks. Want to get those answers in fairly quickly. I see this one's filling up a little more slowly than the past couple of questions. I think Google is getting a workout here, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Okay. All right, folks, get your answers in soon. We want to make sure we can keep things moving here. All right, let's go ahead and see what the answers were on this one. Okay, 2013 is the correct answer. 83% of y'all got that right. That's great to see. It's been going on for quite a while now. We're over a decade of Hacktoberfest, so always fun to see projects that last that long. Let's see what our next question is. Who are the main organizers behind Hacktoberfest? Who are the main organizers behind Hacktoberfest? We have had a lot of participation from different organizations throughout the years. Definitely one of those projects that a lot of different organizations are familiar with at this point, just because we've been doing this for so long. And Good to see all the different partner organizations. Obviously, this year we've got MLH as one of our primary partners, but a lot of folks participating in Hacktoberfest every year, and that's why we've got some cool Hacktoberfest swag from throughout the years. But let's go ahead and see what the answer is on this one. Excellent. Yeah, DigitalOcean and partners. That is the correct answer. Obviously, I'm a DigitalOcean guy myself, so I hope that DigitalOcean is one of the main organizers of Hacktoberfest. Let's go ahead and go to our last question here on this quiz. Which platform is Hacktoberfest most commonly associated with for contributions? Where are people contributing for Hacktoberfest? You guys can get this. I believe you. I believe in you. Oh, this one's got a quick timer on it, so not too long to get your answers in fast. Okay. Wow, that one was quick. GitHub and GitLab, that is correct. If you guys weren't familiar, GitHub and GitLab are the organizations that or the platforms on which you can contribute to Hacktoberfest. Contributions on GitHub or GitLab will get you counted towards your 6 PR contribution threshold. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for participating in that. We do have 5 people up top here, so we will be reaching out to our 5 winners and getting your. We've got your email information, so we'll reach out over email to get you your 5 or your T-shirts. So thanks so much, everyone, for participating, and really glad that that you guys were able to get 6 out of 6 on this quiz. We'll have one more quiz today, so if you didn't win this one, please stick around and participate in the second quiz. We'd love to make sure that everybody gets a shot at winning some T-shirts today. Okay, folks. Next up here, we're going to have a talk from Oliver Mensah. He's going to talk about empowering open source and how DigitalOcean's credit program supports maintainers and contributors. Oliver, great to have you today. Let me see if I can. There we go. Sorry about that.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here, and congratulations to our quiz champions. Hacktoberfest is off to a winning start. So for those of you who couldn't win, sorry about that. I know you have additional quiz to be done, and I think any of you can also win. We're talking more about credit program DigitalOcean and how we are supporting maintainers and contributors in the open source community. Let me get my slide here. Also present. Awesome. Okay. So my name is Oliver Mensah, and I'm the program coordinator for the open source credit program at DigitalOcean. My talk will be about empowering open source community and how DigitalOcean credit program support maintainers and contributors. We believe that open source is everywhere and is powering more than 90% of modern applications. And we know that maintainers and contributors are the backbone of the open source community, yet sustainability challenge persists within the open source community. These are some of the few challenges that open source maintainers and contributors are facing. Some are facing the struggle with resources. That is, when it comes to infrastructure, hosting costs, some of them have to bear that. And also contributors often lack access to tools and environment. And that means that sustainability is not equal to the number of GitHub stars or the GitLab stars that you have. So how does DigitalOcean come in here? We believe that DigitalOcean is a developer-first company with open source roots. DigitalOcean is being powered, most of the applications or products we have at DigitalOcean is powered by the open source community. And our own website is powered by the Nest.js application. So that means we rely heavily on open source. And Hacktoberfest, which has been running since 2014, is just to support the open source community. And we are not just supporting the open source community with just writing code and contributions, but rather we're also giving back credits so that developers can leverage on our powerful platform to build their applications. So what's the open source credit program about? The credit program is about giving maintainers and contributors access to DigitalOcean platform so that they can freely use our platform without they having any burden on infrastructure costs. That means we help these projects reduce their infrastructure costs as they continue to build, test, deploy, and scale the application faster on DigitalOcean. So looking at the program, any eligible open source project can apply for that. And that means the project needs to have eligible licenses, open source licenses. So once you apply, we approve the let's say project that qualify to be part on the to be part of the program. We accept the ones that qualify. Once we accept them, they become approved project and they receive yearly credits so that they can continue using our platform. And the credit that we grant to them can be used for hosting applications, DB, using our database, powerful databases, have access to our CI and CDs so that they can do anything that they want to run on DigitalOcean. Some of the projects that we have been supporting include the Node.js application, Kubernetes, the syslog, and many other projects that are benefiting from us globally. Real-world impact of this program here at DigitalOcean is that we help maintainers save a lot of money on how much they could have spent on infrastructure. And with that, they focus more on the time that they use for coding, and you don't have to worry much about any cost. When the application is being powered by DigitalOcean, because they have their already set up Droplet or maybe our platform application that is ready for contributors to use, onboard becomes easier for any contributor who would like to contribute to that particular project. And projects are scaling globally without any worry about any infrastructure cost. So how does DigitalOcean open source credit program and that of Hacktoberfest align? We know that both initiatives are empowering contributors and maintainers. Hacktoberfest is growing contributors, and as the credit program is also sustaining maintainers or the project that you are contributing to. Together, we are strengthening the open source community. For anyone to get started or to be part of the open source credit program, all you need to do is to apply for the credit through our webpage. That is digitalocean.com/open-source/credit for project. When you visit the page, you can apply and we will continue with the review process for you. Contributors to they are supporting open source projects and they are sharing resources with the open source community. What do you mean by this is that with the open source credit program at DigitalOcean, contributors try to share the experience with open source, DigitalOcean through a technical write-up or architectural walkthrough. Then that resource become available to the open source community. And with that, anyone who is trying to build anything with that project can easily check on that README or tutorial so that they can easily work with the application. And with that, we are collaborating with all open source companies that are relying on us to scale impact at DigitalOcean. What's ahead? We are looking at expanding support to more projects globally. So far, we supported more than 500 projects, and we are still accepting applications to continue supporting the open source community. And with that, we are building stronger partnership with the ecosystem, and we continue to simplify cloud and AI for the open source community. Let's build a sustainable open source community together. And as I said, my name is Oliver Mensah, and I'm the open source credit program coordinator here at DigitalOcean. You can contact me on all the socials with Oliver Mensah Dev. And for you to apply to the program, you can just visit digitalocean.com/open-source/credit for DigitalOcean, credit for project. Thank you for listening to me. In case you have any question related to this, you can always get in touch with me. Then we can talk about how best we can also support you on this. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Oliver. Really appreciate it. And yeah, absolutely. Love to see all the opportunities for folks to contribute, and love to see how DigitalOcean helps in general projects contribute, or people contribute more to open source, and open source projects get off the ground. It's so important. It's one of those things that a lot of times contributing and maintaining open source is thankless work, and it's great to see when we can support that with some of the extra stuff that DigitalOcean is able to do. Thanks so much, Oliver. Really appreciate that. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Next up, we are going to have a panel discussion. We are going to have, it's going to be a discussion in general on AI and open source, but always love to see the questions in the chat. If anybody does have questions, please don't hesitate to bring them up. Somebody did ask, how do we give our email if we won the quiz? If you signed up to Slido, we already have your email address, so you don't need to send it over in Discord or anything like that. We already have your email, and we'll go ahead and reach out to you through that email address that you used for Slido. So hope that was a real email that you used. Any other questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. We're definitely all looking at the chat and happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Any questions about how Hacktoberfest works, anything like that. I also do want to plug again that the Hacktoberfest website, hacktoberfest.com, is a great resource for any particular questions that you might have about how Hacktoberfest works, where to go, what repos to use. All those resources are findable on the website. So thank you very much. Additionally, it has resources about which events and when and where, for if you want to go to an in-person hackathon. Love to have things like that because it gives you the ability to get help with things right away from people who are nearby you who may have gone through that same issue in the past. Ram Krishna asked, how do we find issues to contribute to? The Hacktoberfest label in GitHub and in GitLab those are the projects that are eligible for your PRs to be contributions to Hacktoberfest. So if you make a contribution to those repositories, that will count towards your Hacktoberfest contributions, and will get you credit towards your T-shirt. So thank you there. Great. Next up here, I'm going to hand it over to Juan, Chris, and Anish, who are going to talk a little bit about AI in open source. So I'll go ahead and bring them on here. Hey there. Good to see you.
Hi, Darian.
Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. Good to see you again, Chris.
You too, Darian. Darian and I used to work together. Hey,
That's
Wampa.
right.
Awesome. So I'll start with my introduction. So hi, everyone. This is Anish, and I have been with DigitalOcean for close to 2.5 years. I'm working as a senior technical writer in the DevRel team. And yeah, excited to, host this discussion on AI in open source. We have two amazing guests, Chris from Laravel and Juan from Client. So welcome, guys. Why don't we start off with your brief introductions, and then I have a couple of questions, and we can go on.
Cool. Yeah. Anish, good to see you again. Anish was also
Same here, Chris.
with me at DigitalOcean. Yeah. So intros. I am Chris Sev. I work at Laravel, and we actually had a big launch today, so it's already been quite a long day for me. We launched our new Laravel Forge. But yeah, I work at Laravel. I have worked at DigitalOcean in the past, done a lot of Hacktoberfest. And yeah, so now I lead the DevRel team here at DigitalOcean. We do the marketing engineering as well, so we make the websites. But just happy to be here. Been a big part of Hacktoberfest in the past. Hacktoberfest has been a big part of my life for a long time. So yeah, great to see everybody.
Sorry, I think we're having a technical issue. My bad. One moment here. Trying to get the right folks on screen. Apologies. Just let me get this fixed up. Hi there, Juan.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself and tell the folks here where you're coming from?
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Juan Pablo Flores. I'm a senior developer advocate at Klein. We're a small startup here based in San Francisco. We're an open source AI coding agent. And my experience with Hacktoberfest, I think this is like probably the third or fourth year that I've been around with Hacktoberfest in multiple capacities. I used to organize the event back in Mexico City, and I'm super pumped to be joining you live today here on the live stream.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and definitely always good to have folks who participated in Hacktoberfest in years past. I definitely love the history behind Hacktoberfest and how much there has been in the community involvement in it throughout the years. Definitely had some interesting stuff happen in the past. So thanks so much for being here. And I think while we're waiting on Anish to figure out his technical issues, I can go ahead and start us off on the discussion. I won't be as handsome as he is, but I can at least ask the question. So I wanted to start out with some questions about open source in general. And open source used to be so manual intensive, right? It was a lot of manual work to get things done, but now AI is super helpful for automated code generation, bug fixes, testing, things like that. I'm curious if you guys have noticed shifts like that or what shifts have you guys noticed in terms of open source contributions and the open source projects you work with the advances in AI over just the past couple of years? Do you want to start us off, Chris?
Yeah. I think this applies to open source, but it also applies to just everything in general, right? Like I think AI, as coders, we just have changed our jobs a little bit more, and it happens more and more every month, it feels like. I feel like the initial input of code has been a lot easier to enter into an open source repo or a project that you're working on. And I think that's been great on its own as far as like lowering the barrier of entry into projects. But now you start to see like a lot of the bottleneck being in like human code review, right? I've got like 7 PRs open and they're happening too fast now. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to read these and review them and do all that. But I think it's really fantastic that our jobs are shifting a little bit more to that reviewer mentality.
Hey, Chris, I think I lost you guys. My Chrome just shut down and yes, so sorry, guys. So yeah, I hope I didn't miss a lot. Are you guys done with your intros?
Yes, intros are done. Yeah. I just did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can respond to the question. So for the way that AI has changed the way that we maintain open source projects has been a lot. For us at Klein, we get like hundreds of issues every week, and we have hundreds of like pull requests that we are still unfortunately unable to review, but we're getting to them. And I believe like there's been a significantly impacting on the maintainer side of how easy it is now to bring things like GitHub and our issues into our IDEs. So maintaining focus has been like great. And then working with Klein or any kind of like coding assistant that you have to solve those issues in a more automatic way, especially like for easy fixes, I think it works great. For things that require more kind of like work, we normally request more context from the user, and then like the AI will kind of like understand better what the problem the user is facing. So I do agree that there's been it increases productivity and increases the velocity that we're able to ship new things. If you've seen like they change logs from like Klein, we release probably like twice a week like new stuff. So the velocity is there, the space is incredible, and then I agree with Chris here in the sense of like I can talk more about it later, but like anyone and more people are able to participate in open source. Even if they don't have like the most advanced or like a formal technical background. And it's something that happened before, but I think now it is something that we can see more often.
Right. Awesome. So what are some practical examples of AI tools that are already being used in open source development? I mean, what do you guys use on your day-to-day, jobs? Like I personally use Cursor, GitHub Copilot, and a bunch of other MCP servers integrated on Cursor, so that is my tool stack.
Yeah.
What are you guys?
Yeah. I think just where we are in like my current role and how exciting the industry is, I know it's like very unproductive, but I try to switch my editor and my setup maybe like twice a week. Cursor, go to VS Code, use Copilot, Cloud Code directly, and all kinds of terminals. Client is here, right? Like,
Yeah.
I still haven't messed with Codex yet, which is a fun one to mess around with. But I think that's all of like the code writing tools, right? And then you get MCP to get the integrations. But there's so many underrated things that I think people are starting to look at when you talk about like auto reviewing PRs and Claude Code has their own, Code Rabbit's here, GitHub Copilot has their own, Cursor's Bugbot, and that's just talking about PR reviews. I'm sure Juan has like more on his list too.
One of the things that I love about AI agents is that you can use it, like we call them like AI agents for coding, but essentially you can use them beyond just like coding. Like any text that you can feed them, it is something that they can consume, they can analyze, and they can produce something about it. So for me, I think I've used Klein not only because of the open source component of Klein and that you're able to see fully like how Klein is using your code, you have control on and the controls that you have, but also because like it allows me to play with like edge, like these edge models that come out like every week, test them out, see if they work, and then you can keep using them. So in terms of the tools, I've been using Klein in things that probably we shouldn't. Like I used it for sometimes helping me review like tweets, and that's where, for example, things like MCP servers come very handy as well. A ton of our community has been building like open source MCP servers or ways to connect to different MCPs. I'm in love with like the Perplexity MCP server so that I can bring web search into my IDE and I can get like the most recent like sources, context 7. I know there's a lot of like discussion right now of like, do I bring HTML to documentation? Do I bring Markdown documentation? What is the most effective way? And then our team creates like its own MCP service, which is like phenomenally easy now to make your own server. So our product marketing team, like they have their own server to directly send tweets from their IDE into like Twitter, and it's just like very impressive to see like now everyone has. They don't have like this technical background, but like they can create like these servers and they are building these work. So for me, those are kind of like the most valuable. And then on the I think for me, like a tool is also like I spend a lot of time with our communities. So I love kind of like spending time in like Reddit that I normally didn't use before, but now like I found so much value of like Reddit discussions.
Right.
I've got
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm gonna go mess around with I'm a big fan of Perplexity. I didn't even think to use their MCP server there. And I'm over here like trying to pick a tool to schedule these tweets. And I don't know, these days, all like the buffers of the world and all the Sprout socials, they're like getting a little too high in price for me.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea.
agree,
Like
Chris.
MCP and automate a task or something. And
Like I have
I'm
one
gonna go-
MCP server, Chris.
Yeah.
It's for SEO, and I you use it for all my SEO and AI optimizations within the IDE without using any tool. It's pay per use. It's like bunch of other. I use Google MCP. I use GitHub MCP. I have Reddit MCP. Just playing around with all of that. Since my job is writing, so it helps a lot.
Yeah,
That's great.
Something I'm gonna add here. Like, I'm sorry, I got super excited about this talk, but we just talked with the Typeform team, and they're doing like their own kind of like design systems internally. They create an MCP server that contains their design system, so they're able to have the same context on their AI agents on the way that they code and design pieces of their Typeforms. So that's really cool because now like everyone has the same context and they bring the same context when they're coding. So and they have like a very specific like set of tools that they use. But you can do the same thing for writing. So for example, I have a set of like rules that I give my client to be like, hey, the way that we tweet is like these ways. Like this is the voice that we have. This is kind of like our brand guidelines. And then at the end, it does like a really good job of bringing that context. And I just like put my japping, like I jap with like voice, and I just like let it like rip with whatever crazy idea I have, and then it just like fixes it and makes it like something that I can publish on the client like Twitter account.
Love it. Awesome. So off to the next question. So I think open source thrives on collaboration, right? So how do you guys think that AI can help contributors of different skills participate more effectively?
Yeah, I can take this one, Chris, because you've been
start it.
You've been the first one. I had an interesting conversation this week with a winner of a hackathon that we had a couple of weeks ago. This person, he's amazing. He's a forklift like driver. So his main job is like, loading pallets. And he's getting started with like with coding. He attended his first hackathon 2 weeks ago in Nashville. And it's a really interesting story where this person felt like he didn't have like the skills to be able to participate or do anything functional at a hackathon. And then through the hackathon, like we were able to like talk to them. We sponsored the hackathon. And I think hackathons start to become more fun for people who were able to explore AI tools, just because you can focus on like the creative piece. Yes, you can like the coding as well. And I think the same thing happens with open source, where it is not so much about like the typing of the code, but it's much more about like, what are the pieces you would like to see in this project, and how do you want to see this project grow? And this, the power of enabling that AI has is just like very impressive to me. I feel like it just like voice, now people who were not able to speak now are able to speak with like things like 11 Labs. People who don't have like, I don't know, they lost their vision. Now they can see through like different apps. I think like coding agents are the same thing, where you're able to now like code even if you don't have the skills to code, and that is opening a ton of opportunities for everyone.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
and like to bring it back to all of my Hacktoberfest experience, I see a lot of questions in the chat too of, hey, how do I get started on a repo? Like, where are my first issues at? And even 3 years ago, this was all dependent on the maintainers putting together all of their correct resources, getting like first time issues tagged, giving people like, how do you get into a repo? And now I think a lot of that work, one, you can jump into anything and figure it out with AI, right? But the other side too, it helps the maintainers write those docs. So it's like from both sides, it just helps bridge that gap. So I think, like I said earlier, just lowering that barrier to entry across all levels is really good.
Absolutely. Totally agree, Chris. So next up is, AI models are often criticized as black boxes, right? How important is transparency when using AI in open source? And how do we balance usability with accountability?
Yeah, a great question. I think transparency, there's multiple pieces to the transparency conversation. We're seeing more local models right now becoming more usable. Yeah, of course, if you have like a 16 gigabyte like computer, unfortunately, I don't think you can get like a good model right now. Hopefully, like in a few years, you will. But especially for folks who you really want to deep dive, I think most of our users do like Plots.net 4.5 or whatever the most popular model are. But there's a growing interest in having more local models that you're able to see like the weights, and that you have especially control to how your code is being handled. Like right now, if you use like the big providers, you don't know what they're doing with your code. You probably know a little bit of like the term services, whatever, but like there's so much going on in the back that it's really hard to know like what's really happening there. these open source coding agents have the awesome transparency of also telling you what's the system prompt, which you can also tailor to the needs that you have. We don't see these a lot on like client, but like definitely being able to understand how like tool calling works, how different system prompts are being used for different models helps a lot to understand how the project is processing this code. And at the end, I think giving developers the agency to choose not only the tools that they like, but also the models and the way that these models are interacting with your IDE is one of the most important ways or one of the most important things to ensure that people feel like they can still have control. Because otherwise you just like are shooting code to a thing that you don't know what it's doing and just having high hopes that it's going to work out. And so I think here's where like open source really shines, is not only providing transparency, but also ensuring that you follow the best security practices to understand how your code is being used by these providers or by your local LLMs or your own services. And reassuring you that this code is not going to be used in ways that you do not agree with.
Yeah, and I'll attack that from the other side of the question, is the accountability part, right? So I think the transparency into the model, knowing how it works, configuring it for your team. But the other side of it is people are committing a lot of code that is like they just pass off as themselves, right? And I think especially nowadays, you can tell when something is just a full AI written thing. I mean, first of all, on a PR comment, you're not writing 30 paragraphs. AI is, right? Like, but people just copy and paste it in. So I think there's accountability there, and I think a lot of open source projects and maintainers are starting to say like, oh, look, if you're going to use AI, totally cool. Just make it visible, like make it known that you use Claude Code or whatever you use for this. And I think that's a really big part of the other side, like the contribution side. And like, where do we go from here? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if, if you asked me a year ago, I wouldn't say we are where we are now either. But yeah, accountability, transparency, it all comes down to that. And I think it's always been those two words, even before AI coding, right?
Exactly. Fair enough. Awesome. So off to next one. So what are the risks and challenges that AI introduces in open source projects? Be it licensing, security vulnerabilities, data privacy. Every now and then I keep hearing news about copyright lawsuits, AI-generated insecure code, data leakage risks. So what are your thoughts on this?
Juan, you want to start?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of things. First, I think that the biggest problem that AI, outside of like the security piece, which is kind of important. I think maintainer burnout is a reality of getting, when these tools are not used properly, these tools add more work. And for us, you can see that as like, someone has an issue, they open an issue on GitHub, and then you get like some extra work there to review. Sometimes issues are not super well written, or if you use AI for writing an issue, it might not have the context of the problem that you're facing. So it makes it really hard for us sometimes to really be able to sort it out, and adds extra time, just like ping-ponging like the problem with the user. From a security standpoint and in general, that also comes with like how much time you have as a maintainer. Because at the end of the time, like you as a maintainer or as a group of maintainers, you still need to. I highly recommend you review the code. I don't think you should just like zero shot a prompt and then like submit that as a pull request. So as someone reviewing their code, there's so many tools right now to like review security, and sometimes even just like prompting correctly to your agent or your IDE, like, hey, what are some security vulnerabilities of this? Is more than enough. Some people on client have like, some of our contributors have created like workflows to to find a bug, and then automatically follows like some steps to verify that your contribution is just like following best practices. And that is really helpful to also save time for contributors. But yeah, essentially I would say the security piece is a concern. The extra work and just overall is just like good prompting guides, like making sure that folks understand how to use these tools properly so that they can make the most out of them, and ensuring that they follow like these best practices, like the contribution guidelines and just like the workflows that you have set up for your project. And at the end, also like there's a ton of AI tools that now also verify security. I've heard of like Expo, that was like one of the grandfathers of GitHub Copilot started that. And they're doing like really impressive work in automating AI security, both security on open source projects.
Awesome.
Yeah, we also say like, oh, it's lowering the barrier to entry. Anybody can contribute, but this is starting to get to the point where there's that knowledge needed to, like currently, I think it's needed to understand what's going into the code base. Like security and privacy are the two big ones that I think the models often overlook. So yes, it lowers barrier to entry, but it also puts a little more pressure on the reviewer on that side of things. And like Juan said, there's the tools to check security checks, all that stuff for your PRs. But man, it's wild the things I've seen get into a repo just on security alone. Not to mention performance, privacy, like PII type stuff just kind of goes out the window. I think there's a lot to be added to the prompts, at least just the base prompts for security and privacy, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Awesome. So, next up, so what do you think about open source AI models like, Llama, Mistral, Falcon, and will they realistically compete with large proprietary ones like the ChatGPT, Claude, etc.? And what are the advantages and disadvantages you see between both of these open source AI models and the proprietary ones? I personally use both.
Yeah. Well, like GLM 4.6, which is an open model, came out like yesterday, and the benchmarks are like really impressive. I think the problem with like AI models that are open is you having the compute to run them. And this is kind of like what every company struggles right now. That's why we're having like massive data centers being built. On the other hand, I do believe there is a good opportunity that they will start competing. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of guidance on like the best like models, and this is a space that is moving really, really fast. But even things like 1.3 has been having like really, really great results. And I think as you know, most open source maintainers or people involved in open source, they want to know how their models are working. So I do believe that this brings more clarity and more transparency on, just what you're consuming, right? Is like you get farm to fork when you have like open models, like you can see the whole thing. And we're starting to see a tremendous increase of local models on client as well. If they're going to be able to compete, I think like yes, but if you pay the premium of like providers right now, I think it does like gives dividends. So I would kind of like still kind of like play a little bit with both right now.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I think the compute part is an issue. The quality, I think, is catching up, right? And all we have to do is wait 6 months. But yeah, like right now, convenience and quality put together. I personally don't use the open source models right now, just to pop in and check every once in a while. But I think practical purposes, just using the current models. But yeah, I would love to get to a point where I have a better opinion on this in 6 months, right?
Fair enough, Chris. Awesome. So I have one last question for you guys, and it's a tricky one. So if you had to predict, how will AI and open source intersect over in the next 5 years? What new opportunities or challenges do you see coming up for developers, and how should they prepare?
How should they
I think-
prepare?
I mean, I think it's already happening. Like I see like client couldn't be where it is at with like 20 people and having like 3.2 million downloads if we didn't integrate AI to our system, right? I think at this point it is very, very well integrated. I think for preparing is what we've learned for best use cases, like how do you use these tools the best? There's a lot of education that needs to happen, and it's about understanding kind of what we have been discussing here, like what are the prompts, what are the system, what's a system prompt, what is the model, what are like the LLM benchmarks, when do you need to hear these benchmarks, when you don't need to listen to these benchmarks. So there's a lot of like education that needs to happen in terms of ensuring that everyone is able to understand how these tools work and how to make the most out of them.
Gotcha.
And I'll add, like, in addition to learning how the tools work and like the underlying setup for each one, I think there's a good blog post from Anthropic out talking about context engineering, right? And there's those fundamental thoughts that you have to have about prompt engineering, context engineering. Now with MCP, figuring out the connection between those. I think there's a lot of fundamental things that you can learn in AI that will lead into the next setup. And it goes back to, everything goes in cycles, right? Like back when we were learning how to code from, I don't know, dark ages, no AI. If you learned the concepts for each language, it would apply to multiple languages, right? So I think a lot of these fundamental thoughts are going to go into AI moving forward. I like the comment from Anushka for, like, once AI gets good enough to maintain projects, open source communities eventually shift from writing code to governing code. And I think that's a lot of the responsibility of open source communities right now. It just maybe will go more so that way and less about the code itself, more about the ethics, the movement, like the goals, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. I think what I would like to add is, Chris, human will always seek human validation. So no matter how much AI automates, we will need to, govern and review everything ourselves in the end.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, we own the code that goes in.
Yes.
No matter who writes it, right?
Absolutely. Awesome. I think, we're almost done. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Juan, for your patience and, answering all these questions. It was a lovely chat. Over to you, Darian.
Thanks so much,
Anish.
Anish. And thanks, Chris, and thanks, Juan, so much for your participation.
Thank
Good to see you again, Chris, and I hope we'll talk again soon.
Good to see you both, and you, Juan.
Thank you, Juan.
Thanks, everybody.
Chris. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Great panel discussion. And I think it's a topic on everyone's minds. How does AI, what does it mean for open source, for AI to be taking off like it is? And definitely want to understand what the future looks like. I think if you had a perfect idea of what the future looks like, it would be, you'd be standing to make a lot of money. So nobody quite knows, but that's why it's great to hear from the experts like that. Speaking of experts, next up, we're going to see some demos from some experts who've been kind enough to join us. We've got Lucas, Babur, Thomas, and Olivier going to join us here today. So we'll go ahead and grab them and get them. We'll get them in and do some lightning demos. So looking forward to that. I believe first up here we have Lucas. Let me go ahead and add Lucas to the stage. Hi there, Lucas.
Hello, folks.
Very nice to have you.
Very nice to be here. I think
right.
this is mine, like 9th Hacktoberfest or something. So yeah, as excited as always this time around the year.
Always nice to have some Hacktoberfest OGs around to show the youngins how it's done. So thanks for that, Lucas. I'll go ahead and hand it off to you.
Please do. Could you add my slides to the... Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Lucas. I'm a GD for Flutter and Dart, and I'm also maintainer of the game engine Flame. And I'll just tell you very quickly what Flame is about. So Flame is the most popular game engine for Flutter. And if you have used Flutter before, you might know about the widget tree, and Flame is just another Flutter widget in there. We're quite popular on GitHub. We have 10,000 stars and 3,700 commits, which most of them are just like squash PRs. It's like 1,000 forks, and we have 250 contributors. We just had a new version released. And a lot of people that ask us about Flame is like, but why did you build it on Flutter? And Flutter is actually perfect for this type of game development. So usually when you use Flame, you build like 2D and casual games, but you can build 3D games too. And it's because you get a really nice direct access to your like Canvas barebones API and get a high rendering performance out of that. You have a mature ecosystem, and you just build your game once and you get it out to Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, your TV if you want it, maybe even your fridge. And as I said, Flame is just a widget that is living inside of the Flutter's widget tree. And Flame is using one of these classic game loops. So it goes back and forth between update and render methods, and yes, gets interrupted by different inputs from the user. And in Flame, we have something called components. And within these components, these are like the basic building blocks of your game. You have update and a render method that you can override and do special things in. But we have a lot of built-in components already, so a lot of the time you don't have to write a lot of your own code in update and render. You can just use the pre-existing components. And similarly to the widget tree that I was showing you that exists in Flutter, within Flame, we have something called the component tree. Because we have a game usually has kind of a different structure than what you have in normal, like businessy mobile apps, where you want to render as seldom as possible. But in games, since the animations and logic is usually a lot more complex, you want to render as often as possible. That's why we're not using widgets directly. And the components are fully composable. So say that this would be like your player component, then you can just add a backpack or a spellbook or a weapon to it, and those ones will just like follow the player around without you having to manipulate their positions, etc. They only have to be relative to its parent. And Flame is modular, so we have the core package Flame, but then we have like 30 or 40 other packages on the side that connects Flame to other things, like Forge 2D, for example, is a Box 2D port to Dart, which gives you a physics engine. And there are lots of those different ones. And we have a lot of other features, obviously, like a camera and a viewport, and we have a built-in collision detection and an effects system that we call it, which is usually used for different types of animations, like doing something to a component over time, maybe move from point A to point B over 2 seconds or something like that. We have a lot of different gesture and input handling for all different types of devices. And you can do some sprite batching for optimizations and the physics engine that I talked about through Forge 2D. And we have some very nice built-in debug mode that helps you when you get stuck with your bugs. Now you might wonder, how do I get started? So a good thing to check out first is the examples.flameengine.org. Or just flameengine.org, you can start with that too. And in there, we have an example of all the features that we have in Flame. So if you don't just want to read the docs, but then you can go in there and just click around and see if you find something that you want to use. But if you want to use the docs, you can just go to our main site and press docs. And inside of our docs, we also have a lot of built-in tutorials. And there are also lots of unofficial tutorials on YouTube. And for Hacktoberfest, I think we have more than 100 merged PRs from earlier Hacktoberfest years, maybe more actually, because we haven't tagged all of them, because the repository itself has the Hacktoberfest tag. So as long as you make like a sufficiently sized PR to Flame, then we'll be eligible for Hacktoberfest. And yeah, if you don't know what to start with, you can go in and look at the issues that are tagged Hacktoberfest or Good First Issue. But you can also come up with anything that you think would be nice for Flame and open an issue for that, and we'll see if it's a good fit. And if you get stuck, we have a great community, and you can write on our Stack Overflow tag with Flame, or just open a GitHub issue, or look at this examples directory that I was talking about earlier. Or the best idea is to join our Discord, because I think we're about 10,000 people on there now, and a lot of people with a lot of experience, and they're very humble, so they're there to help you. And we usually have a lot of fun in there. Let's see, we have a question here. What are the future plans and roadmap for Flame, and how can contributors shape its development? So right now we're stabilizing version 1 of Flame. So we're not trying to put any like really big, crazy new features in there, because we want to start building Flame version 2 quite soon. And if you have good ideas for what you would want in Flame version 2, you can comment on that issue. But I would suggest just go in, build a game in Flame, and see what you are missing from there, and what you would like to have in there, and just either write on an issue or comment about that on Discord, and either we can help you get started building the feature that you want, or you can just give us an idea of what you think we should build. And that is actually all for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Lucas. Really appreciate it. Really interesting.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I remember when I was first learning how to code, building a brick breaking game. Things have come a long way since then. Definitely want to try out doing something cool with Flame in the near future.
Yeah, you should. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, Lucas. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, next up here, we're going to hear from Bobber from Gibson. So I'll go ahead and bring Bobber on stage here. And Bobber, I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I think you are pronouncing much better than everyone, I would say. If you can't pronounce my name, you can call me Tiger. Which is
okay. I like that. That's a solid name right there,
yeah.
Tiger. Awesome. Yeah. Great. Well, I'll let you take it away, Bobber.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity. Yeah, you can bring the screen. Right. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a lead developer project at Gibson. Today, I'm going to show you the open source project we are building. It is like an open source AI memory engine for building context-aware AI agents. One of the things in memory, we call it memory because it can memorize the things around the agents. So it can memorize automatically the context, the preferences, and relationships. One of the unique things we really like in this open source project, when we initiated, I think 2 months ago, we are getting very quick popularity in terms of like stars. If you look at like a period of when we started the building a memory, and one of the things is in memory, we're providing a Python SDK to integrate with your AI agents. You can bring any AI agent framework and then just use one line memory enable to auto-record all the LLM conversations happening around your AI agents. Another thing is you can differentiate it from other memory solutions in open source project. You can bring your own database that might be your Postgres or MySQL or MongoDB to run a memory engine on the top of your existing database. It saves a lot of also efforts. You don't have to use a vector database, so you can just manage one infrastructure, which is existing yours. There are a bunch of use cases. You can visit like memory.gibsonai.com. and explore all the use cases. Might be useful also one of the use cases from hospitality to education, where memory can be useful for your AI agents. It's actually very smart. Makes smart AI agents by saving the tons of tokens. Also increase the 90% accuracy if you are using AI agents with memory. Today is actually the demo I would like to show you is one of the main use case with memory. Think about shopping AI agent assistant that can help you and understand your preferences and purchase history and provide you more personalized experience, as you can see in the screen. And what we did with DigitalOcean cloud with the Gradient platform agent service, I built one application. If you navigate the e-commerce use case, explore this use case, there is a live demo everybody can try out by visiting the website, and it's called Smart Shopping. And also you can initiate a chat and start to ask what you are looking for, and the product catalog. Actually, this product catalog is just a draft list of some products which are not exist in the market, but you can connect always in real time. But the funny thing is, it knows my name, right? I say it like my name is actually Tiger, which is English, and then even it remembers what I ordered before, and then what was my budget limit for the previous purchases. This is the memory shines up here to offer you more a personalized experiences while you are doing shopping. So under the hood, it's actually connecting to the Gradient agent, and then agent actually analyzing your request, and then also searching and retrieving some data from the memory, and then here the output you get based on your budget, some offerings to buy. So also we are open, to more contributions from the open source community. We have already 4 core maintainers in this list. You can become the next one. We are shaping actually the future of AI with the memory systems. If you think about the memory as a human, right? If I have the memory, I can recognize everything from the past. I might become billionaire because I never forget anything. You can read more details about what we do at the memory, and you are more than welcome to contribute. Actually, we are also supporting many AI agentic frameworks up to now. And one of the contributions you can do also, bring any popular framework like LangChain or Agno, whatever examples you can build, or you can also create agent templates together with memory or maybe DigitalOcean. So, or feel free to find any issues in our memory open source or documentation. I think this is pretty much it I would like to showcase. So once again, visit memory.gibsonai.com. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiger. Very interesting demo, and definitely want to check that out myself. See if I can make a project work with that.
Sure. Go ahead.
Great to have you, and we'll definitely bring you on next time. Yeah, and Aditya thinking about some ways that they can use Gibson in with vector DBs. Have a wonderful day, Babur.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Awesome. Next up here we have Thomas Joshi from DSPy, and I apologize if it's Tomas. I'm never sure these days if it's Tomas or Thomas. But great to have you, and thanks so much for contributing your time today. Really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, of course. It's just Thomas Joshi, but appreciate you all joining today. Just getting my slides up and going.
No problem at all. Yeah, I don't know if anybody is aware, but we've got deploy for DigitalOcean going on right now. So I'm actually in London today. So I'm excited about that. But if you guys are free while I've got some time while Thomas is working on his slides, I just wanted to plug that. Tune in for deploy online tomorrow, and would love to see everybody there. Here we go. There we go.
Can you guys see? Okay, great.
I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I think probably most of you are familiar with DSPy, so just want to take the time to talk about more of the application side of DSPy. For those of you who may be starting off in your sort of agent framework journey, there's LangChain, there's Llama Index, Crew AI, and then sort of the more independent project out of Stanford is Stanford DSPy. We have close to 30,000 GitHub stars now, used by NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic. And so if you want to get involved, please feel free to DM me at Thomas T. Joshi on Twitter. And so to give you a quick overview of what can DSPy be able to be used for, the killer application here is for building enterprise chatbots. So you've seen JetBlue use it, basically for converting some of their conversations they have with customers through the phone app to do things like aircraft performance. You can also manage your employee relationships. So through some of the HR information that you have with employees. We've seen a bank use it for customer onboarding. So they can look through your application, identify the sources of funds or where the funds are coming from for the account. We've also seen DSPy be used for cybersecurity. You can essentially use this to automate the attack of LLMs. So Hayes Labs has sort of become quite famous by using DSPy to sort of battle test a lot of these frontier models. And then we've also seen Wang Lab win first place in a global medical competition where they used DSPy to do sort of error flags, to do error sentence detection, and then correct those sentences for medical forms. So when your doctor is filling out a form, you can use DSPy to go through it. And basically the point is to get the best performance out of your models from OpenAI, Anthropic, or DeepMind. And so just the key problem we're trying to solve here is that I think we all know this by now. You should not be using a chatbot individually. You shouldn't be just using Anthropic's latest model or OpenAI's latest model. You want to be using a whole stable of models based on the task at hand. And then, I think most people realize that, but I think what most people have been doing is they've been building out these LLM pipelines with RAG. And this is just not the right approach, because now you still have very similar issues. We have these task-specific pipelines that can't scale to the rest of your organization. So let's say you're JetBlue and you build an HR pipeline. How does that scale to the other orgs in your institution? How does it scale to IT? How does it scale to your engineering department, your physical airplane engineering department? And so what we've seen is this proliferation of long handwritten prompts, where I think people have seen that you have these prompts that are released out into the open, and this is not this is not the way programming should be done. You should be able to declaratively state how you want the system to be built, and then there should be some compiler layer underneath that handles that for you. So you aren't left trying to absolutely widget and sort of tweak your prompt to the application. So what's the solution? Well, you have LLM pipelines, and the reason why it's called DSPy is because of similar to the PyTorch name. So, but instead of having tensors like in PyTorch, you have data is text. And instead of making calls to maybe layers, you make calls to LLMs. And so this is the final slide. What's the key solution? Well, you have these different modules. You can think of modules almost like PyTorch modules, where you can build in layers of that. So build up your LLM. You have signatures to declaratively state what you want the input and output to be. And then you have optimizers. In PyTorch, this is Ada optimizer. Now we recently have had Muon optimizers come out of DeepSeek. But in this world of LLM systems, this becomes other different Bayesian approaches, evolutionary approaches to optimizing your LLM system. And so that's it. Thank you so much for joining today. Again, if you want to stay in touch, DM me on Twitter at Thomas T. Joshi, Joshi. And you can, and I'll send you more information.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Thomas. Really appreciate you taking the time today and showing everybody what you've been working on.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day. All right. Next up, and the last of our lightning demos today, we have Olivier coming to us from Gemma, which is a Google DeepMind project. And let me go ahead and add Olivier on here. Just one moment. Oh, looks like we might be having some technical issues there. So let me see if we can find Olivier here. If not, okay, great. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and move straight to our final quiz of the day, and see if we can get Olivier in the meantime. But I know everybody's been raring for that next quiz, more opportunities to win shirts. So we'll get started with that. I'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and post a join link and share a QR code for us to be able to, for folks to be able to participate in the quiz that's coming up on the screen now. Awesome. So go ahead and join with that QR code if you want to be a part of this quiz. And again, for the folks who get, it's probably going to have to be, you have to get all the questions right. I would imagine that's going to, all the top 5 will have all the questions right. And then Slido is going to select 5 winners for us from that group of people who get all the questions right. And we'll reach out to those people through your emails that you signed up to Slido with. We'll then send you guys some contact, or we'll get in contact with you there and get your information of where we can send that T-shirt. So go ahead and join through the Slido link there. We'll give folks just a minute or two to join in so you guys can all participate. I love seeing all the names here. And I did also want to shout out folks in the chat who are asking great questions. Swati Gupta and Anushka and others are really carrying the chat here with the great questions. So thank you for that. We will be reaching out to you and some other folks at the end here or after this is all done. We'll reach out via email to hopefully get you guys some T-shirts too, because we really appreciate you guys participating and asking such good questions in the chat. So thank you, Anushka and Swati, and the others who are asking great questions and participating. I want to call out Wayward Ben Z. You've been participating. I appreciate that you are hungry for dinner. So sorry for the switch on the Google DeepMind one, but great to have you. And also Sheikh Mohammed Rakib, good to have you as well. I see you've been participating in the chat quite a bit as well. Love to have folks participating in the chat. It really does make it feel like it's a much more live event. We have almost 800 people here, but for each of us who are participating in the event from the presentation side, it's just us in a room alone for the most part. So it's always great to see the participation in the chat and see that everyone's excited to be a part of this. As a reminder, please go ahead and join the Slido quiz there through the QR code. And again, if you get the 6 questions right, if you get 6 of 6 here, then you'll have a chance to get a free T-shirt from DigitalOcean. We'll reach out to you and get you a T-shirt. So I think we probably have as many folks now as we're going to get. So we can go ahead and start the quiz now, but please feel free to join if you want to. All right, first question. Which of these licenses is considered the most permissive, as in least restrictive license? Is it the GNU GPL, the MIT license, the Apache 2.0 license, or the AGPL license? These questions are a little harder. For quiz 2, we pulled out some more difficult questions here. So hope everybody can, it looks like we posted the link. There is on YouTube, I'm not sure if there's an issue with a space there, but go ahead and join there. And please put your answers in the Slido if you think you have the right answer. And if you get all 6 of these right, then you may win a T-shirt. You would guess GNU, potentially, yeah. For anybody who isn't aware, GNU is one of those, I believe it's one of those recursive acronyms. It stands for GNU is not Unix, which is always fun. I love recursive acronyms. All right, I think we've gotten most of our answers in by now, so we can go ahead and see what the correct answer was on this one. MIT license is correct. So for you 86% of folks who answered that, that's right. And the folks at MIT know how to draft a permissive license. They did a good job with that one. So open source licenses like the MIT license are super important for continuing open source work. It allows everyone to contribute while feeling that their work is going to be valued, but at the same time allowing anyone to use that work. So licenses are super important for the open source community. Let's go ahead and go to the next question. Forking a repository means you're deleting it permanently. True or false? True or false? Hopefully we get a lot of right answers on this one, or there's going to be some confusion in GitHub. Forking a repository means you're deleting it permanently. Yeah, right? Bob's got some good insight coming from Twitch there. I don't know if everybody else in the other. I don't think everybody else in the other platforms can see those responses, but you're absolutely right, Bob. I won't give it away by responding to that, but you're absolutely right. All right, I think we've gotten most of our answers in here. We can go ahead and see what the correct answer here. Forking a repository does not mean you are deleting it permanently. Fortunately, nobody got this one incorrect. That's always good to see. All right, let's go on to the next question. The largest open source code host in the world is it GitHub or GitLab? GitHub or GitLab? One of the, probably a question that you can most people would guess the right answer, but let's see. Don't want to give away too much. I certainly love both of these platforms. I've used both of them in the past. If you haven't tried, if you've only used one or the other, I recommend that you try both at the very least, so you can see what you prefer. But great to see both of them succeeding. Good to have multiple platforms that people can submit code through. And we've gotten most of the answers, and we can go ahead and see the correct answer on this one. And 99% GitHub. I like that 1% voting for GitLab. I appreciate that you're pulling for GitLab there. But the correct answer is GitHub. It is a huge platform. It's been a big platform for a long time, and glad to see that people are trying both. Let's go ahead and go to the next question. Okay. Linus Torvalds created Git in 2005 mainly to help manage what project? Was it Mozilla Firefox, the Linux kernel, Kubernetes, or MySQL or MySQL, or however you like to pronounce it? A lot of people say that word in different ways. Let's see if we can get the right answer on this one. And you know, before seeing this question, I actually thought Git was older than that. So fun fact about me, not knowing my history. I've learned something going through this quiz. But the date isn't in question. That's definitely the correct date, but or the correct year. But the question is, what did he make it to help maintain? If you guys are familiar with Linus, that may help inform your answer. I'll give folks, I think we've given folks enough time. We can go ahead and see the answer on this one. Okay, 100% got this answer correct. I think the LINU part of the Linux kernel gives it away that Linus was the guy who built and maintained that primarily for a long time. So that's great to see. Let's go to the next question. All right, question 5 of 6 is, which of these companies has not open sourced a major project? Is it Meta? Is it Google? Is it Apple? Or is it Netflix? And the proposed project that is open sourced is in parentheses here. This one's a bit of an unusual one. I don't think I learned anything from this question in particular as they were putting this one together. But curious to see what answers people come up with here. Okay, I think we have most of our answers in. We can go ahead and see the answer here. I'm hoping for 100% on this one, I'll be honest. Okay, not quite 100%, but still got some folks, most folks getting the right answer, but a few people not sure. Stranger Things is a TV show, so hard to open source a TV show, but if someone figures out how to do it, I will be very interested. Definitely want to see that. I think they call those fan fictions. All right, let's go ahead and move to the last question of the second quiz here. Last opportunity to win a t-shirt if you have not yet. This one's only got 20 seconds. Open source always means anyone can edit the main project without approval. True or false? Is that what open source means? Only 10 seconds to go. It's a speed question here. Separate some folks who are just not quite fast enough on the clicker. All right. That does it for our quiz, folks. 92% of you got the correct answer there. Open source does not mean you can just edit the main project without approval. You do need to work with others. So let's see who our 5 winners are this time. All right, awesome. we've got our 5 winners. Folks, we have your email address from when you engaged with Slido. So when you got into Slido, we got your email from that. So we will be reaching out to the folks who are our winners here. And we'll be giving you guys we'll contact you and get your information so that we can ship you guys some of those prizes, those shirts. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people got 6 out of 6. We can't give shirts to everyone, but these are our 5 selected winners. So thanks everyone so much for participation in that quiz. Glad we get to give out some shirts, and again, we'll be giving out a couple of shirts to folks who are very active participants in the chat as well. Really appreciate everyone participating there. And for the closing notes here, I want to bring Mike back and hear from him.
Hello. That
was
awesome.
Mike. Good to have you back.
Yeah, what a great way to kick off Hacktoberfest. Those were some great panels, and those demos were awesome. I'm feeling really excited. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling awesome. I'm super excited. Not only are we kicking off Hacktoberfest, but tomorrow DigitalOcean is kicking off a deploy, so I'm excited for that as well. Obviously, been looking forward to that stuff. So good to have it in October when we've got Hacktoberfest going already. But yeah, this has been something that, you know, I'm proud to say DigitalOcean has been a part of Hacktoberfest for so long, and it's something that when I onboard new people at DO, I always tell them, hey, this is something that we're really proud of, right? This is our month-long celebration of open source, so it always makes me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, Hacktoberfest has probably been responsible for creating more net new open source contributors than just about any program I can think of off the top of my head. So, I mean, what an amazing event to be leading for so long, and it's just such a tremendous impact on the community, right? Like, think about how much work needs to be done in open source every day, and how many new people we need, and being able to be a part of an event like this that brings so many new folks in, amazing.
100%. And that's why I really appreciate organizations like MLH. You guys are building the ladders and the step stools and the keys that unlock all of these different opportunities for people to contribute to open source who otherwise wouldn't really know what to do, especially the in-person events you guys are organizing. I'm super excited for that. And folks, check out the Hacktoberfest website for links on where to see that stuff. And the MLH website as well has all the information that you guys would want. I think we can post some of those links in the chat here, but you know, it can be super intimidating when you're getting into this stuff for the first time, how to do that. And organizations like MLH and the wonderful folks like Mike are key to making sure that's not a super intimidating and difficult process.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody you saw on stream started as a complete beginner as well. So don't be afraid to get your hands in, learn by doing. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to, you know, be figuring it out as you go. But this is literally the place you belong if you're thinking about contributing to open source and are looking for that little push to get you over the initial hump here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. It's great to see everyone. I hope everyone is excited for Hacktoberfest, and check out all the projects that you can contribute to. And don't hesitate to reach out. Hacktoberfest is first and foremost about the open source community, not just the code itself. So don't hesitate to reach out to project owners and maintainers and ask them questions, and go to these events. There's going to be a lot of people at these events who've done this stuff before, who can walk you through your first steps and answer those questions that you feel are just too stupid to ask. I promise they're not. We've all been at that exact same place that you're at right now. So thanks so much, Mike. Anything else you want to say before we close out today?
No, I just want to say thank you again to everybody who's joined us for the stream, all of our presenters, all of the attendees, all the great questions that we got. Honestly, this has been such a great way to kick off what is literally a month of celebrating open source and the community around it. So just because we're wrapping up this stream does not mean things are over. In fact, it's very much just the beginning. I can't wait to see what the community does over the next 31 days here. And yeah, if there's anything that I or MLH can do to help support you on your open source journey, please do reach out. We're very proud to be partnered with DigitalOcean on Hacktoberfest this year, and can't wait to see where the community goes.
We're very proud to have you. As Mike said, this is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. So have a happy Hacktoberfest, everyone. A wonderful rest of your day, and don't hesitate to reach out. And again, congratulations to our winners, and thank you so much for everyone who participated today, especially our speakers. Have a wonderful rest of your day,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
See you in the month of October. Hacktober, I guess I should say.
There you go.
Bye-bye.